What's good, YouTube? This is Boxingwave, and we are back with another fight breakdown. This week on July 25th, ESPN Plus, 4:30 a.m. Eastern. Stephen Fulton is going to be defending his WBC and WBO super bantamweight titles against Naoya Inoue, who's going to be moving up from 118. He was undisputed there, and he's also collected titles in two other divisions. All right, so he's a three-division champ, moving up to face off Stephen Fulton, who is currently unified and considered to be the best fighter up at 122 at this moment. All right, big fight, big week of fights. Obviously, we know that Terrence Bud Crawford is going to be facing off against Errol Spence next Saturday, but I will be covering this fight live. I'm not sure what time I'm going to get online, but I'm probably going to just take a nap during the day and wake up around midnight and just stay up until, or get on until the fight starts. All right, so I will be covering this fight and breaking it down while it's on. Okay, this fight is major. All right, and I believe that this is a top tier one, pound for pound, number 1 or 2. I'll get on into all that stuff later. I had a very hard time trying to decide who's going to win this fight. I've changed my pick 4 times. I'm not lying. I have changed my pick 4 times. I did a ton of film study this week. I've rewatched fights. I've gone back and rewatched fights. I've watched Inoue. I've gone back to Fulton. Inoue again. Going back and rewatching certain fights because I just could not pick a clear winner simply because, in my opinion, there's too many question marks. There's too many unknowns. Especially when a fighter is going up in weight. And he's a naturally much smaller fighter because he has fought at light flyweight. He's won a title at light flyweight. So Inoue has won a title at 108, skipped 112, won a title at 115, and won all 4 titles at 118. Okay, and he's fighting Stephen Fulton, who was just about to move up to 126. He chose to stay back at 122 so he can take this fight. He was done with 122. He has had great wins at 122, and like I said earlier, most of the people consider him to be the best anyway, even though he's not undisputed. And he's fought at 122 his whole career. So there's a lot of unknowns going into this fight because we know Inoue has all the power in the world, right? We know he knocks everybody out. But can he go up to this division and fight a guy that was just about to move up himself? Okay? Stephen Fulton, 29 years old, just turned 29 a few days ago. He's been fighting since, 2014 as a pro, good amateur, undefeated, 21 wins, 0 losses, 8 knockouts. And no draws or anything like that. He's had a very great career at 122. And he's a taller guy. Like I say, he's bigger, but he's also taller by maybe a couple inches, a few inches longer reach as well. So he's the bigger guy. We know that. All right. And Inoue, he's 24 wins, 21 knockouts, no losses, no draws. 3-division champion, like I've said. He has not fought at this weight. He's smaller, he's shorter, he has the lesser reach, but he's the KO artist. He's the guy that has the high KO ratio, is one of the pound-for-pound hardest hitters in the entire sport. All right, he's knocked out 21 people out of the 24 that he's fought. And he's fought some good people. So this is where the debate begins. All right, first of all, I read the comments to some of the fights that I've watched, gone back and rewatched, and it's just people get so extreme. People get so extreme that they can't pick a fighter without tearing down the opponent. Same thing with Bud and Spitz. It's like whoever wins this fight is pound for pound number 1, but I'm gonna trash the opponent before getting there. It makes no sense. All right, Stephen Fulton is a phenomenal fighter. For you guys that don't believe in him, he's a phenomenal fighter. He's extremely athletic, has cat-like reflexes. He's super fast. I even think he's faster than Inoue, which is crazy because Inoue is very fast. Stephen Fulton is extremely fast. He's extremely versatile. He can fight on the inside. All right. He fight on the outside. I mean, that's obviously. I mean, he can move laterally very quickly. Right. Great legs. Well rounded. All right. He's been pretty durable in his top tier fights. He's been hurt before. I've seen Adam Lopez fight back in the day. He's been hurt. He's been rocked, but he's tough. The main thing is that he doesn't have the power. 21 knockouts or 21 wins with 8 knockouts. All right. He's not knocking guys out like that. All right. So that's a key thing. He doesn't have a lot of knockouts, but he's a phenomenal boxer. He is a slick fighter. And let me just talk about that real quick, because I know a lot of people don't think that's a big deal. It is a big deal. A lot of fighters, slick fighters, have major success. Very slippery on the defensive end. Very slippery. Very hard to hit. Okay? Knows how to control their opponents when they're in uncomfortable positions. Knows how to escape. When they're in uncomfortable positions, when they're trapped. Very hard to touch clean continuously. You know what I mean? And Naoya Inoue has not fought anyone like that. Not someone this defensive. Not someone like this. But Fulton is not just a defender. He is a great counterpuncher. All right? He punches, he places his punches well. He puts them together well. You know what I mean? And he's a very educated, very technical fighter. Very good. Very good. Solid all the way around. He has adapted. He has shown that he can adapt to his opponents. All right? He's fought his opponent's type of fight and won. Some indisputable, but he's done it. He's done it. He showed that he can do it all. He just lacks power. He does lack power. All right. But you got Inoue the other end. He's explosive. He's extremely powerful. He's fast as well. He has quick feet, and he's another fighter that has adapted to his opponent. He can fight any other way. He can fight any kind of way he wants. People don't talk enough about his inside game because we don't see much of it, but he has an inside game. You just got to really, really look for it. He has an inside game. It's just that we haven't seen him in fights where he had just stayed in the pocket the entire times, because his opponents don't really want to be there. Ask Jason Maloney. He tried to be there. He tried to smother Inoue a little bit. It didn't really work out for him because Inoue knows how to create space and take quick step backs and land those close range shots. All right, so Inoue is very, very well rounded. The thing is, again, he's the guy that's coming up. He's very powerful. So being as powerful as he is, he's fighting a guy that has fought guys with power at his weight class. So is that power going to carry over? That is the big question. All right. Can he trap Stephen Fulton? Can he pressure him? And is his power going to be a factor like it has been in the past? That's a big question. Because if it isn't, he might have a long night, because it's going to be hard to just simply outbox Fulton, especially because he's defensively gifted. You know what I mean? So those are the questions. Those are the strengths of both of the fighters. They all can adapt. They can adapt to whoever they're facing. They both could do it. They're both phenomenal counterpunchers. You know what I mean? They are extremely fast, and they both move extremely fast as well on their feet. So big question marks. As far as flaws, Fulton, I would say with Fulton, I think sometimes, I think just like Inoue, I think, he is a guy that works behind his jab. All right. He has a phenomenal jab, very quick jab. I think he should probe a little bit more, change the speed of the jab a little bit. Don't become too predictable. I said this about Gary Russell in the Lomachenko fight. Back then, don't be fast. Change the speed of the jab a little bit. It makes it harder to get countered, for the guys like Inoue to try to counter you with, the right hand or the left hook or whatever. Both of these guys are orthodox fighters, all right? I've seen Fulton switch a little bit just in order to, create new angles, but he's not a switcher. I wouldn't call him a switcher. All right, I've seen him switch to southpaw just to land certain shots, but he's not a switcher. Um, but yeah, Fulton, going back to some of his flaws, uh, just change the speed on the jab a little bit. Sometimes he leaves the jab out there a little too long. He does a good job. He has good reflexes, good head movement. He's good at um, bending at the waist and moving his upper body. Obviously he has good feet. I think the one thing, and I've said this with Devin Haney as well, sometimes he ties up a lot. When he has nowhere to go, he ties up. But the problem is when he ties up, sometimes he lunges out to tie up. You know, I said this about Haney. I've said this about Vladimir Klitschko. You saw it in the Tyson Fury. When you're lunging in to tie up, you're leaving yourself in a bad place to get countered. And a guy like Inoue, could take those quick step. When he sees you reaching in, he could step back and catch you in an uppercut that you won't see coming. You know what I mean? So I think with Fulton, excuse me, when it comes to tying up, he has to make sure that he doesn't. It's not too much space in between him and Inoue. Don't reach in to do it. Don't be taking steps to do it. I've seen him do it. You know what I mean? So he has to be careful with that. Combinations, don't throw too many. He has a great hook. He has like a very quick sweeping left hook, but it doesn't have the impact that Inoue has. Inoue is very dangerous. Nonito Donaire, who is his best weapon, was the left hook. Traded hooks with Inoue, and he paid for it a lot in his fights. Inoue has a very powerful short left hook, and a check left hook. Be very cautious of that. Keep the combinations 1-2 and move. Don't sit around too long. Keep your back off the ropes. It's gonna be hard to do. It's easier said than done because Angelo Leo was able to do it. Brandon Figueroa was able to do it as well. Force him to fight their kind of fight. He passed the test though because he was able to hold his ground and fight their fight and win in doing that. But one thing about Fulton I dislike about him is that being that he has a good inside game, I think he needs to find some kind of way of imposing it on his opponents instead of doing it when he has no choice. You know what I mean? Like, don't do it. Just do it when your back is against the ropes and you have to. When you fight a guy like Inoue, being that you're the bigger guy, you should at least try to put, to smother Inoue a little bit, lean on him a little bit, and dig on him and be physical on him, the smaller guy, and tear him, wear him down. I'm not expecting that from him, but it is a possibility. I said this in my mini breakdown. It's a possibility that may happen, but I'm not expecting because Stephen Fulton likes to fight off, on a long range, and being that he has the height, and he has a height advantages, but he fights low. He bends against the smaller. You could look at the Arnold Kagai fight. He likes to bend, but he has longer arms. But I wish he did that more. All right. Talking about Inoue, some of his flaws. I think one of the major flaws with Inoue is again with the jab, similar to Fulton. Sometimes he leaves it out there, gets countered with the overhand right too easily, especially because he has the shorter arms. Sometimes he's too close with the jab, and it's very easy to time him and counter him with an overhand right. Leaning over to the right. I've seen him, with Donaire and even other fighters. They'll throw the jab, throw the right hand, the right cross, and Inoue will lean to his right all the time, and he'll get clocked in the head with the right hand that he don't see coming behind the jab. He'll slip the jab, but he don't see the right hand coming behind it. And I said this about Fabio Wardley. Major, that guy does it all the time. Leading up to the Nathan Gorman fight, that was an issue. That's an issue with him. And Inoue as well, especially because most of the time, it's kind of weird because most of the time he's going in a direction towards that right hand. So that's bad enough. But now he's leaning towards his right, and after the jab, he don't see, like, he can't get out of the way of the right. You know what I mean? Even though he has good reflexes, he can't seem to get out of the way with that shot. Sometimes just doesn't keep the glove up. I think Fulton keeps his right hand up often, especially when he's throwing hooks. So sometimes, you can get exactly what happened with Donaire. Donaire hurt him bad, broke his orbital bone because of the hooks. After the hooks, then he started fighting every round with his right hand up, whereas Stephen Fulton kind of does it all the time. He even does it while on the move. And that's another thing. Inoue, even though he's going to be chasing down Fulton and trying to close the gap, which he's good at doing. He has quick legs, so he's definitely going to get in range and follow Fulton. He has to be cautious, watch out for the check left hook, but he also has to, damn, what's the point I was just about to make? When you do this off top, it kind of gets like you forget certain points and stuff like that. But one of the things he needs to be aware when he's going in, Fulton is very good at moving and still shooting jabs and shooting shots on the move. You know what I mean? He's very good at doing that. Not powerful, so don't walk into shots while you being, trying to pressure Fulton. Just got to be mindful. Keep them hands up. He does fight out of high guard most of the time. He does have good head movement. I don't think he moves his head, and I don't think he has the defensive reflexes like Fulton does. But he's still able to close distance very well, and he does move his head, and he's able to slip and counter very well. Slip, counter, throw those combinations. But mainly those flaws of Inoue, defensive flaws. Sometimes he does take a lot of shots as well, trying to connect with those big power shots. You know what I mean? So he just got to be on point with that. As far as the resumes, because resumes are always going to be brought up, and everybody's going to bring up that Fulton always dominates these good fighters. When you look at these fighters and look at who they faced and how they looked against those other fighters, Inoue dominated like all of them, right? But with that being said, Fulton has consistently fought very good 122 fighters, and even though he may not have dominated all of them, they are bigger fighters, powerful fighters, and more talented fighters, in my opinion, at 122 consistently. When you take the guys like, Arnold Kagai, for example, or Angelo Leo, or Brandon Figueroa, or even not only that's Inoue's opponent, or even Daniel Roman. I watched the Daniel Roman fight a couple times. I watched the Arnold Kagai fight a couple times simply because of the styles matches up better with Inoue when it comes to doing film study and their styles. I feel like those guys are better than some of the people that Inoue fought consistently. You got a guy like Manny Rodriguez, right? Who I like, right? I like Manny going into that fight. I remember doing content leading up to the Inoue fight. I remember reading comments that people thought Manny was going to win that fight. And it seemed like Manny in that fight just did everything wrong. Like, he did exactly what played right into Inoue's trap, And when a guy like Inoue is so powerful, you got to be a little bit more defensively responsible. You know what I mean? And I feel like these fighters outside of like Paul Butler was very reckless. Even Donaire. I know Donaire had a lot of success, but it's because he tends to fight that fight. He wants to get in range to land the left hook and land bombs. So I understand it coming from him. Obviously, in the second fight, it didn't work out for him too well because he's older. And he just got clobbered in the second fight. You know what I mean? He tried to go in there and try to pressure Inoue. He had some success in the first fight, and it didn't work out for him. But outside of that, a lot of these guys played right into the trap. I think Jason Maloney did well. He did decent for what he could do. But, and I did a lot of film study on that fight specifically, simply because Jason Maloney unlike Paul Butler, Jason Maloney moved laterally a lot, but he fought and he changed, the rhythm of the fight. He tried to get on the inside. He tried to just adjust. it just didn't work for him because he just was outgunned. He just didn't have the no advantages over Inoue here. He was just, whatever. But Paul Butler, it's not like Inoue wanted to fight that guy. It's just that guy had the last piece to get it undisputed. Paul Butler wasn't there to fight. Paul Butler was there to survive, and he landed some good shots. He landed some right hands. He landed some nice hooks, because Inoue, like I said, doesn't keep that right hand. Sometimes he throws a jab and he doesn't have his hands up. And, sometimes he can lean back and move and slip some of the shots. But sometimes he kind of falls asleep at the wheel because he's used to being like the bully. You know what I mean? And he falls asleep at the wheel. I think he's so offensive sometimes defensively. Yes, he has good reflexes. Yes, he can move his head, but sometimes he just kind of falls falls asleep at the wheel sometimes. And plus his opponents, they just weren't on a level. Jason Maloney, good fighter. Paul Butler, good fighter. Some of these guys are good fighters, but they're. I think Fulton got the better fighters. And they've had success since their losses. So I respect the most recent fights with Fulton, though he wasn't able to stop any of those guys. And yes, I know the Figueroa fight was very, very debatable, but the Figueroa is there's nothing that you can compare with Figueroa and Inoue. Stylistically, they're completely different. There's nothing they can do. There's no way to compare those two. Figueroa is a guy that, he's just a volume pressure fighter, not defensive at all, not fast, not explosive. Just a guy that just swarms you, backs you against the wall. He smothers his own offense, unfortunately, in Figueroa. That's part of the reason why the judges probably didn't have him winning the fight. All right, but Inoue is more, he's more accurate. He's more of a precise puncher and stuff. So we'll see. So when it comes to resumes, even though Inoue is a more decorated fighter, I like what Fulton has. Like, I like the quality of the fighters that he fought at 122 over the quality of fighters that Inoue fought at 118. And if you go before 118, the thing with those fighters is that it's not even the opponents. It's just that Inoue wasn't nearly as good. Inoue, I've seen the difference in the talent in Inoue since he first got at 118 and when he fought earlier than that to now. He's much better. You know what I mean? He's in his physical prime right now. Both are. Both are. There should be no excuses for the loser. All right, so resumes, weaknesses, flaws, things to do to win. Now, what I think Inoue needs to do in order to win this fight, come out, get in range, dig to the body, counter to the body continuously. Don't headhunt early. Go to the body, slow Fulton down. You know what I mean? This guy is a mover. Slow him down. Continuously go. When he's stepping around you and escaping from the corners, make sure he leaves with that shot. Don't let him get away with nothing. Hit him to the body every time. Because you're going to slow him down. They're scoring shots. They're investments. So he can, you know what I'm saying? He could drop his guard. Then you start going up top. Once Fulton slowed down in the later rounds. That's the best way to win. You know what I mean? He's going to have to stay in a high guard for most of the time. Because Fulton's too quick. It's going to be hard to just slip. You could slip certain shots and counter. But Fulton's going to be on the move. He's very slippery, like I said. He's very slick. And we haven't seen Inoue deal with that yet. We haven't seen him, no one like that on his resumes like that. So he has to be cautious, defensively responsible, but he has to be aggressive at the same time. He has to apply smart pressure coming forward. Inoue, on the other hand, not Inoue, Fulton. Fulton, on the other hand, again, be agile, be evasive. I want him to try to smother Fulton, Inoue a little bit, close the gap, close the distance. I don't know if he's going to be doing that, but you have to move. Throw the 1-2, move. Don't get caught up in trying to exchange. I know Leo, he was able to fight his fight. I know Figueroa, he was able to fight his fight as well. This guy's much sharper, he's much quicker, and he hits a lot. He's a lot faster. Don't get caught up in trying to beat Inoue at his own game. Don't let your ego get in the way. Do what you have to do when you have to do it. If you have no choice, do what you have to do. But at the same time, don't get cocky. Start thinking that this guy, anything at any point, one shot can change anything. I know he's a smaller guy, but we don't know if his power is going to carry up or not. Only Fulton is going to know when he feels it. You know what I mean? Stick to the game plan and stay rangy. Stay rangy. Use that jab. Change the speed up. Throw those right hands. Time those right hands and move. Okay? Tie up if you have to, but don't lunge in to tie up. Don't lunge in at all. You have the height. You have the length. There's no reason for you to lunge in for anything. If he's close and you don't want it, you want to protect yourself from landing them short shots, then tie up. But be smart about it. Watch out for the uppercut. Inoue is going to be looking to time that. I'm sure they're going to be looking to time that. If I can see it, I'm sure they can see it. You know what I mean? How do I think this fight is going to go? I really don't know. I do believe that this is a really 50-50 fight. Like I said, I've changed my pick four times. And I'm basically at the point, like, I'm tired of just watching film study for this fight. I'm over it. I just want to just watch the fight at this point and give you a breakdown, and that's it. Whoever wins, I'm cool with it. But my actual prediction, I am going to pick Naoya Inoue. All right. The majority of my film study, I was leaning towards Fulton. But I really think that from watching, like, the Kagai fight, and watching even the last fight, which is the Daniel Roman fight, I just feel like Fulton's lack of power is going to be an issue, because even if he's having success, and I think he will be winning the earlier rounds, I don't know how he's going to be able to keep Inoue away. Inoue has been in there with some punchers. He's taking the damage. I don't know how he's going to be able to keep this guy off him. You know what I mean? And Inoue can keep up with your foot speed. So it's going to be hard to do it. Like, I feel like he has to fight a more of a perfect fight in order to win. I do think in areas it's going to be an uphill climb for Inoue because he's fighting the bigger guy that is very slick on the defensive end. And, offensively too, because I don't want to sleep on Fulton and his tools. Offensively, he has a lot of them, But I don't know how Fulton can maintain it, especially when his back starts to touch the ropes, and I don't know how he's going to be able to maintain it. I think that's the one thing that I'm really unsure about when it comes to that. I do believe that Inoue's power will carry up, but Fulton has been shown to be durable. I haven't seen him get hurt since Adam Lopez fight, which he wasn't nearly as good. I went back. That's too far back. Sometimes it's just sometimes you don't need to go too far back in doing breakdowns and study because certain fights just improved so much since then. But I just don't know how he can do it for so long. I felt like Daniel Roman and Arnold Kagai was doing certain things that was right, especially going to the body, countering to the body at times. But I don't think they did enough of it, whereas they just weren't aggressive enough. Whereas Inoue is a bigger puncher. He throws more combos. He's just more aggressive. I think he's a better pressure fighter. And I'm not expecting a knockout. Obviously, yeah, Inoue has a chance of doing it. I'm not expecting it, though. I do think it's going to go the distance. There might be Fulton might get hurt or he might get dropped. He might take a knee. But I just think that Inoue at some point is going to figure it out. And Fulton, I just think this movement is not going to be enough, without the power. If he had more of a kick, I would say him without too much thought. Because I think he has the ability to definitely outbox Inoue. But without the power, he needs to be dangerous. And in order for him to be dangerous, he's going to have to bring the fight to Inoue a little bit. And I don't know if he's going to be willing to do that. I really honestly don't. Because I think he might try at some point, and he might get caught with something that's going to make him like, I ain't going to do this no more. You know what I mean? So I think I would have to go with Inoue to be safe. I don't even want to pick a winner. And I actually do want Fulton to win. I want him to win and bring those belts back home and have that win. But if I had to pick, I got to pick Inoue. My prediction is Inoue winning. I think it's going to be a close fight. I think it's going to be very competitive. But I think Inoue is going to do just enough to pull it off. And I think the winner is, should be respected. If you don't respect them, should be respected at that point. Stephen Fulton is going to show up high on my pound for pound. Inoue will probably be my number one for a few days until Crawford and Spence. And the loser is nothing to really look down at. Stephen Fulton, he should move up to 126 if he loses. And if Inoue loses, stay at 122. You probably could beat everybody else at the division. You know what I mean? But these are two great fighters. There's nothing to really be mad at. I just hope the fight is a good fight. I think it will be. And that's it. All right, so that's my breakdown. I will be here covering the fight. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, smash the like button if you like the content. Share the video as well. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday morning. All right, peace.